Ladies and gentlemen, today, relinquish. I want to talk about something that lives within all of us, something that silently influences our actions, our emotions, and even our relationships, the pain body, relinquish. The pain body is not something you can see with your eyes, relinquish, but you can feel its presence deep within, relinquish. It is the accumulation of old emotional pain that has not been fully faced, released, or healed. Every painful experience you've ever had, every heartbreak, every rejection, every disappointment, if not processed with awareness, leaves behind an imprint over time, These imprints form a living energy field within you, what we call the pain body, relinquish. The pain body does not remain silent. It feeds on negativity, conflict, and drama, Have you ever noticed how a small disagreement suddenly escalates into a full-blown argument, relinquish? Or how a single word can trigger an intense reaction that feels far greater than the situation itself, That is the pain body rising within you, seeking to feed itself, When the pain body awakens, you may feel overwhelmed, consumed by emotions like anger, sadness, or resentment, relinquish. What whispers stories in your mind, You are not good enough. You are unloved. You will never succeed. These voices are not your true self. They are echoes of past wounds seeking expression, relinquish. But here's the key, the pain body only has power when you are unaware of it, The moment you bring the light of awareness to it, something shifts, You begin to see that you are not your pain, you are not your past, and you are not the stories your mind repeats, You are the awareness in which these emotions arise and dissolve, Instead of reacting automatically, you pause, You observe the surge of emotion without identifying with it. You feel it fully, but you do not let it control your words or actions. In that sacred pause, healing begins, relinquish. The pain body cannot survive long in the light of consciousness. It starts to dissolve, relinquish. And as it dissolves, something remarkable happens, relinquish. The very energy that once created suffering transforms into wisdom, into compassion, into strength. You begin to live with greater freedom, relinquish, because you are no longer enslaved by old pain. You can love more deeply, forgive more easily, and face life's challenges with calm presence, The role of the pain body, then, is paradoxical. It creates suffering, yes, relinquish, but it also offers an invitation to wake up, relinquish, an invitation to step out of unconscious reactivity and into conscious living, quish. Without the pain body, relinquish. Many of us would never seek the deeper truth of who we really are, relinquish. So the next time you feel that inner storm rise, remember this is not a curse, relinquish, but a call to awaken. The pain body is not here to defeat you, relinquish. Its role is to point you back to the light of your own awareness, quish. Where true freedom and peace are found, thank you, relinquish. The pain body is the accumulation of unresolved emotional pain from the past that still lives within us, quish. When we speak of unresolved emotional pain, quish, we are pointing to all those moments in life where hurt, anger, rejection, relinquish, disappointment, grief, or fear arose, quish. But instead of being fully processed and released, it became buried deep within, quish. These unprocessed experiences do not disappear with time, quish. They remain alive as energy within our inner being, quish. Waiting for triggers to awaken them. This is what forms the pain body, quish. An invisible yet powerful presence that subtly influences how we feel, think, quish, and act in the present moment, relinquish. It is not a physical body, but an emotional energy field that is carried forward through our lives, quish. Everyone has a pain body to some degree, quish. Though the intensity and size of it may differ from person to person depending on their life history, relinquish, their upbringing, and how consciously they have dealt with past hurts, quish. Think of the pain body as a reservoir, quish. Each time something painful happens and is not fully faced, quish, it pours another layer into the reservoir. Over time, this reservoir becomes heavy, relinquish, and the weight of it begins to affect one's mental and emotional state. Sometimes, quish, we may notice it clearly, relinquish, such as when a small event triggers a disproportionately large emotional reaction, quish. At other times, it may quietly operate beneath the surface, quish, influencing our thoughts, our moods, quish, and even our relationships without us realizing it, relinquish. The pain body thrives on unconsciousness, relinquish, meaning it has the most power when we are unaware of it. Because of this, relinquish. Many people mistakenly believe that the emotional storm is who they are, quish, when in reality it is a structure of old pain arising within them, quish. When existence of the pain body explains why certain situations repeat themselves in our lives, quish. People may find themselves drawn into the same kind of conflicts, quish, the same kind of disappointments, or the same kind of unhealthy relationships, quish. It is not that life is cruel, relinquish, but that the unresolved energy within us unconsciously seeks situations that feed it, quish. The pain body wants to recreate pain because that is the energy it knows, Quish. In this sense, it has a life of its own, relinquish, almost like a separate entity that coexists within us, waiting for moments to feed, relinquish. It can awaken suddenly and take over one's state of mind, Quish, leading to behavior and words that, later on, are regretted, Quish. Many arguments between people are not truly between their conscious selves, but between their pain bodies, Quish. Two dormant volcanoes erupting at the same time create a storm of conflict and misunderstanding, Quish. Understanding the pain body begins with observing it, Quish. When an emotional surge arises and feels far stronger than the situation at hand, relinquish. That is often the pain body being activated. It may come as anger, deep sadness, Quish, resentment, self-pity, or a feeling of being unloved or unworthy, Quish. The pain body attaches itself to thoughts that justify its presence, linquish, creating stories in the mind that feel very convincing. Yet, Quish, when we step back and see it for what it is, the pain body begins to lose its power, relinquish. Awareness weakens it because awareness does not feed it. Awareness simply observes, relinquish. By seeing it as a pattern of accumulated emotional energy, relinquish, we stop identifying with it as our true self. The pain body then, Quish, is not who we are. It is an accumulation of old energy within us, relinquish. Our true essence is the awareness that notices the pain body, Quish. This distinction is crucial because once we understand it, Quish, we can begin to separate ourselves from the cycle of unconscious reactivity, Quish. The pain body has been part of humanity for generations, linquish, and acknowledging its presence is the first step toward freedom from it, Quish. The pain body awakens through conflict, criticism, relinquish, or negative experiences, and feeds on drama and negativity, relinquish. When we talk about awakening in this sense, relinquish, it is not a spiritual awakening, but rather a stirring of dormant emotional energy that suddenly becomes active, Quish. The pain body lies in the background most of the time, almost invisible, Quish. But it is never truly gone. It waits for the right condition, the right word, Quish, or the right situation to come alive, Quish. When someone criticizes you or questions your worth, Quish. When life does not go as planned, or when an unexpected conflict arises, Quish. The pain body seizes the opportunity to emerge, linquish. It reacts strongly to negativity because negativity is its food, Quish. It cannot survive on peace, calmness, or acceptance. It thrives on drama, Quish, on emotional upheaval, on anything that intensifies the sense of pain within you, linquish. Think of the moments in life when an argument escalates out of control, quish. It often starts with something small, linquish. Perhaps a careless remark or a minor disagreement. But then, suddenly, quish. The emotions rise so intensely that both people are swept away by anger or defensiveness, linquish. What is happening here is that the pain body has been triggered, quish. It latches onto the situation, magnifies it, quish, and creates drama where calm communication could have taken place, quish. The pain body does not want resolution, it wants conflict, quish. Because conflict generates the negative energy it feeds on, quish. That is why people sometimes feel a strange sense of satisfaction in being angry, relinquish, in holding grudges, or in reliving old wounds. The pain body is feeding, quish, and in feeding it temporarily feels alive, relinquish. Criticism is one of the most common triggers of the pain body, quish. When someone criticizes you, whether fairly or unfairly, linquish. It touches old wounds of not being good enough, of not being seen, quish, of not being valued. The pain body rises instantly to protect itself, quish, when often through defensive or aggressive reactions, but in reality, relinquish, when it is not just responding to the present criticism, quish. It is responding to the accumulated pain of past criticism, rejection, or judgment, quish. That is why the reaction feels disproportionate to the situation, quish. A single remark can feel like an attack on your entire being because the pain body carries all past wounds with it, quish. And each new trigger awakens the whole reservoir of stored energy, quish. The pain body is also awakened by subtle forms of negativity, quish. It might be awakened by envy when you see someone else succeed, quish. By resentment when life seems unfair, quish. Or by disappointment when your expectations are not met, quish. Even boredom can be a trigger, quish. Because the pain body sees boredom as an opportunity to create drama, to stir things up, linquish. It thrives in relationships where unresolved conflicts are present, quish, because it can repeatedly react to the same issues, quish. This explains why certain couples or family members fall into cycles of the same arguments again and again, linquish. The pain body is being triggered repeatedly and without awareness, quish. It continues to demand more energy to sustain itself, quish. Drama becomes the natural playground of the pain body. It exaggerates problems, quish. Makes small issues seem catastrophic, linquish. And constantly searches for reasons to be offended, quish. It will even create scenarios in the mind, imagining insults, betrayals, quish, or failures that have not even occurred, simply to stir up emotional energy, relinquish. People who are dominated by their pain body may unconsciously seek out drama, relinquish, because it provides the intensity of emotion that the pain body craves. Relinquish. This can lead to toxic patterns in friendships, romantic relationships, or workplaces. Relinquish, where negativity and conflict seem to follow a person wherever they go. The important thing to recognize is that the awakening of the pain body is not random. Relinquish. It is always connected to something within us that has not been healed or faced. Each trigger is like a key that unlocks a door to the past, allowing old pain to flood into the present moment. This is why becoming conscious of the pain body is so powerful. When we begin to see that these intense reactions are not always about the present situation, but are rooted in past pain. When we create space between the trigger and our response, relinquish, the pain body may still awaken, but with awareness, we are no longer compelled to feed it with more negativity. Relinquish. The pain body distorts perception, intensifies reactions. Relinquish. And often creates unnecessary suffering in relationships and daily life. Relinquish. When it takes over, it becomes like a filter through which we see the world. Relinquish. And that filter is colored by old pain. Imagine looking at life through a lens of resentment, fear, or anger. When everything you see will appear threatening, unfair, or hostile. A simple neutral event can be misinterpreted. A kind gesture may be doubted. And an innocent comment may be taken as an insult. Relinquish. This distortion of perception is not the truth of the present moment, but rather the pain body projecting its own stored emotions onto reality. Relinquish. It pulls the mind into old patterns. Relinquish. Convincing us that the past pain is happening again now. Relinquish. Even when the situation does not warrant such a reaction. Because the pain body is fueled by unresolved emotions. When it awakens, it amplifies any situation far beyond its actual weight. Relinquish. Small inconveniences feel unbearable. Minor disagreements feel like betrayals. Relinquish. When constructive feedback feels like an attack on one's worth. This is why someone might explode in anger over something trivial. Relinquish. Or sink into deep sadness over an event that does not justify such intensity. The pain body magnifies everything because it feeds on emotional energy. Relinquish. The stronger the reaction, the more it thrives. In this way, it hijacks the present, distorts clarity, and robs us of peace. In relationships, relinquish. The pain body often becomes the hidden force behind recurring conflicts. Two people may genuinely love each other, yet find themselves locked in cycles of blame, defensiveness, and misunderstanding, relinquish. What is really happening is that their pain bodies are communicating, not their true selves. One person's pain body is triggered, they lash out, and this in turn triggers the pain body of the other, A chain reaction unfolds where neither person is actually present in the moment, Instead, they are both reliving unresolved pain from their past, using each other as targets. This is why arguments can feel so irrational, why things are said that later cause regret, and why forgiveness can feel difficult, The distortion caused by the pain body convinces each person that the other is the enemy, when in truth both are being controlled by old wounds. In daily life, the pain body can manifest in subtle ways as well, It might appear as chronic irritation, impatience with strangers, or constant complaining about circumstances. It can distort how we see ourselves, creating feelings of unworthiness or self-hatred. It can distort how we see others, leading to judgment, jealousy, or resentment, Even the way we interpret neutral events can be twisted. For example, if someone does not return your call, the pain body may convince you that they are ignoring you, that you are not important, that you are being rejected, These thoughts may spiral until they create unnecessary suffering, all without any evidence from reality. The pain body also distorts memory, It tends to recall and emphasize negative events while downplaying or ignoring positive ones, This selective focus reinforces its grip by painting a story of life as painful, unfair, or hopeless. The mind then believes this story and reacts accordingly, creating a cycle where the pain body is continuously fed, This distorted narrative shapes identity, leading people to say things like, I am always unlucky, nobody loves me, or life is against me. But these are not truths about life, They are the voice of the pain body speaking through the person's mind, The intensification of reactions under the influence of the pain body often surprises people once they reflect on it, After an emotional outburst, A person may look back and wonder why they were so upset, why they shouted, why they slammed the door, or why they cried so much. In that moment of reflection, it becomes clear that the reaction was far larger than the situation. Relinquish. When is the signature of the pain body, disproportionate intensity that brings unnecessary suffering, quish. It uses the body's energy, tightening the chest, quickening the breath, quish, when clenching the muscles, and flooding the mind with thoughts that justify the storm, quish. It feels overwhelming because the pain body has temporarily merged with your sense of self, quish, making you believe that you are the emotion rather than the awareness behind it, quish. When seen clearly, quish, it becomes evident how much unnecessary suffering the pain body creates, quish. Life itself presents challenges, quish. But the pain body multiplies them by adding layers of past pain, quish, distorted perception, and exaggerated reactions. Relationships are strained, quish. Peace is lost and clarity is clouded, quish. What might have been a small difficulty turns into a heavy burden simply because the pain body has colored the experience with old unresolved energy, quish. Recognizing the pain body, when it arises, weakens its power over our thoughts and actions, linquish. Awareness is the light that exposes its presence, and in that light, quish, its grip begins to loosen. The pain body thrives in the shadows of unconsciousness, quish, where it can take control of our emotions and behaviors without being noticed, quish. The moment we recognize it, we create a gap between ourselves and the emotion, quish. And in that gap lies freedom, quish. The first step is noticing the sudden shift in energy within us, quish. The tightening of the body, the rising heat of anger, relinquish. The sinking heaviness of sadness, or the restless agitation of anxiety, quish. These signals are not random. They are the pain body announcing itself, linquish. If we meet these sensations with attention instead of automatic reaction, quish, something changes. The energy is still there, linquish, but we no longer identify with it completely, quish. And this simple recognition prevents the pain body from taking over fully, quish. When the pain body arises, linquish, it often pulls the mind into a stream of negative thoughts, relinquish. These thoughts can be convincing, telling us that someone has wronged us, relinquish, that life is unfair, that we are unworthy, or that the future is hopeless, relinquish. The more we believe these thoughts, the more energy the pain body receives, quish. Recognition interrupts this cycle by acknowledging, quish, this is my pain body speaking. We see that the thoughts are not absolute truths, but expressions of stored pain seeking to survive. Relinquish. This recognition is like stepping back and watching a storm from a distance instead of being caught in the middle of it, quish. The storm may rage, but it no longer dictates every action. In daily life, relinquish. This awareness can be practiced in small moments. When someone criticizes you, relinquish. Instead of reacting instantly with anger or defensiveness, relinquish. Pause and notice what is happening inside. Feel the emotion rising, relinquish. Observe the urge to respond sharply and silently name it pain body. By doing this, relinquish. You stop fueling the old energy with new drama. Over time, relinquish. The pain body becomes less reactive because it cannot feed on conscious awareness. Relinquish. It only grows when it manages to draw you into identification. Relinquish. When it tricks you into believing that its emotions and or stories are who you are. Relinquish. The weakening of the pain body through recognition is not about suppression or denial. Relinquish. It is not about pushing the emotion away or pretending it isn't there. Relinquish. It is about allowing it to be felt fully, while also holding it in the space of awareness. Relinquish. This requires presence. Relinquish. The ability to remain rooted in the now, even as old pain surfaces. Relinquish. The more present you are, relinquish, the less likely the pain body can trick you into reliving old patterns. Relinquish. You might still feel anger or sadness rise. Relinquish. But it will no longer control your actions or words in the same way. Relinquish. You remain the observer rather than the prisoner. Relinquish. Relationships are one of the best mirrors for practicing this awareness. Relinquish. When you notice your partner, friend, relinquish, or family member's pain, body being triggered, your own may want to react in kind. Relinquish. But if you can see their outburst as the pain body rather than their true essence, relinquish. You no longer take it personally. Relinquish. This shift of perspective can prevent cycles of conflict from escalating. Relinquish. By recognizing not only your pain body, but also the pain body of others, relinquish. Compassion naturally arises. You realize that beneath the emotional storm, relinquish, there is a human being who, like you, carries old wounds seeking healing. Relinquish. Every time you recognize the pain, body in action, whether in yourself or in another, relinquish. You strengthen your capacity to remain present. Relinquish. Each recognition is a step toward freedom. The pain body may still arise. Relinquish. But it no longer dominates. Instead of being the master of your state, relinquish. It becomes a passing guest that cannot stay long in the house of awareness. Relinquish. With repetition, this practice changes the way you live. Life is still challenging, relinquish, but the unnecessary suffering caused by unconscious reactions decreases. Relinquish. Situations that once triggered anger or despair no longer have the same power. Relinquish. Because you have seen the mechanism at work. Relinquish. Recognition does not eliminate the pain, body overnight, relinquish. But it transforms the relationship you have with it, relinquish. Instead of fearing it or being consumed by it, you learn to observe it, relinquish. In that observation, its strength diminishes, relinquish. What once controlled your actions becomes something you can watch without judgment, relinquish. Awareness weakens identification, and in weakening identification, relinquish. The pain body loses its fuel source. By observing instead of reacting, relinquish. The pain body's energy dissolves and transforms into presence and wisdom, relinquish. The natural instinct of the pain body is to provoke reaction, relinquish, because reaction gives it energy. It wants you to lash out, to defend, to argue, relinquish, to collapse into self-pity, to replay the story of past hurts again and again, relinquish. Each time you do, you feed it and keep it alive. But when you choose to observe, relinquish, you break the cycle. Observation is not passive, relinquish. It is an active state of awareness where you feel the emotion fully without letting it dictate your behavior, relinquish. You sense the heaviness in your chest, the tension in your body, relinquish. The storm of thoughts in your mind, relinquish. And you simply allow them to exist in the space of consciousness. In that space, relinquish, the emotion has nothing to cling to, relinquish. It cannot sustain itself indefinitely without reaction, so it begins to weaken, relinquish. As the energy of the pain body dissolves, something new emerges, relinquish. The very intensity that once created suffering can be transmuted into wisdom, relinquish. You realize through experience that you are not the pain, but the awareness holding it, relinquish. This realization deepens your sense of presence, relinquish, because you no longer fear the arising of difficult emotions, relinquish. Instead of avoiding them or being ruled by them, relinquish. You learn to welcome them as opportunities for growth, relinquish. Each time you remain present with the pain body, relinquish. When you discover a deeper stillness underneath the turbulence, relinquish. A stillness that is your true self. That stillness is wisdom, relinquish. For it reveals the truth that emotions are temporary visitors, relinquish, while awareness is permanent. Transformation also brings compassion, relinquish. When you see how your own pain body once drove your reactions, relinquish, you begin to understand the behavior of others in a new light, relinquish. Instead of judging them harshly when they are angry or defensive, relinquish, you recognize that they too are being pulled by their pain body, relinquish. This recognition allows you to respond with patience and empathy rather than hostility, relinquish. In this way, relinquish, your own practice of observing rather than reacting does not just free you from suffering, relinquish. It creates a ripple effect in your relationships. Relinquish. Conflicts that once escalated into endless cycles of blame can now dissolve more quickly. Relinquish. Because one side has chosen to remain present. Presence acts like water on fire. Relinquish. Cooling the heat of conflict until peace is restored. Relinquish. Wisdom also manifests as clarity. Without the distortions of the pain body. Relinquish. You see situations more accurately. Relinquish. You are able to distinguish between what is real in the present moment and what is merely an echo of the past. Relinquish. Decisions made in presence carry less fear and less defensiveness. Relinquish. Because they are not clouded by the weight of old wounds. Relinquish. This clarity guides your actions in a way that feels aligned with truth rather than compulsion. Relinquish. Instead of being reactive, you become responsive. Relinquish. Choosing words and actions consciously. Relinquish. The dissolving of the pain, body's energy is not always immediate. Relinquish. Sometimes it rises strongly, demanding attention. Relinquish. And it may take several moments or even days of observation for the energy to fully subside. Relinquish. But each time you resist the urge to react, you are weakening its structure. Relinquish. Over time, the pain body becomes lighter, less intrusive. Relinquish. Less capable of overwhelming you. Relinquish. The stored energy that once fed cycles of suffering transforms into spacious awareness. Relinquish. Into a quiet strength that does not need drama or conflict to feel alive. Relinquish. This is how presence deepens. Relinquish. Through repeated moments of choosing awareness over unconscious reaction. Relinquish. The process of transformation is similar to alchemy, turning base metal into gold. Relinquish. The raw material is pain, but when met with awareness, it becomes wisdom. Relinquish. The energy that once drove destructive patterns becomes fuel for inner growth. Relinquish. This is not about erasing the past, but about using it as a doorway into presence. Relinquish. Each trigger becomes an invitation to return to yourself. Relinquish. To step into the now where the pain body cannot survive for long. Relinquish. With each instance of observation, the grip of the past loosens. Relinquish. And the light of consciousness shines more brightly. Relinquish. Its ultimate role is paradoxical, though it creates suffering. Relinquish. It also serves as a teacher. Relinquish. Pointing us toward greater self-awareness and spiritual growth. At first glance. Relinquish. The pain body appears only as an obstacle. Relinquish. Something that disrupts peace and burdens life with unnecessary conflict. Relinquish. It seems like an enemy within, a force that sabotages happiness. Relinquish. Poisons relationships and fuels cycles of negativity. Yet, when observed deeply, relinquish. One begins to see that without the pain body, the drive to awaken might never arise. Pain has a way of breaking through comfort and complacency, forcing us to look inward, to question, to seek. The pain body becomes the spark that ignites the search for freedom, by confronting it, we discover dimensions of ourselves that might otherwise remain hidden. The suffering caused by the pain body brings into sharp focus the difference between unconscious living and conscious presence. When we are consumed by anger, resentment, or grief, we feel the weight of unconsciousness pressing down. It becomes unbearable, relinquish, and this very intensity pushes us to find another way of being. Many people only begin a journey of self-discovery after reaching a point where the suffering created by the pain body can no longer be ignored. In this way, the pain body functions as a teacher, guiding us toward awareness by showing us what happens in its absence. We begin to crave stillness, peace, and freedom precisely because we have tasted the turbulence of pain. Through this paradox, the pain body teaches resilience. Each time it arises and we meet it with awareness, we grow stronger. What once completely overpowered us now becomes something we can observe without being shattered. We learn that we can hold intense emotions without collapsing under them. That we can remain present even in the middle of inner storms. This resilience becomes a gift that extends to every area of life. Challenges that once seemed unbearable are approached with calm presence. Because the same inner strength that faced the pain body can face outer difficulties as well. The role of the pain body is also to cultivate compassion. Experiencing our own suffering helps us recognize the suffering of others. When we see someone act out of anger or bitterness, instead of only judging, we can understand that they too are under the grip of their pain body. This recognition softens the heart. Compassion arises not as an abstract idea, but as a lived experience. Because we know firsthand what it feels like to be controlled by pain. Thus, the pain body deepens our humanity, making us more understanding, more forgiving, and more willing to hold space for others. The transformation of suffering into wisdom is another dimension of the pain body's paradoxical role. Each encounter with it, when met with awareness, leaves behind insight. We learn about the triggers that awaken it, about the stories it tells, about the illusions it creates. Over time, relinquish. We see patterns with clarity and begin to step out of them. This clarity is wisdom, and it could not arise without the pain body as the raw material, relinquish. Just as a muscle grows stronger through resistance, consciousness deepens through facing the weight of old pain, relinquish. The very thing that once bound us becomes the force that propels us toward inner liberation. The pain body also teaches presence by showing us what happens when we are absent. Relinquish. When it takes over, we are dragged into the past, reliving old wounds, or into imagined futures filled with fear and anxiety, The suffering is a direct consequence of losing touch with the now, By recognizing this again and again, we begin to value presence more deeply, relinquish. We realize that peace is not found by rearranging external circumstances, but by resting in the awareness that is untouched by the pain body, This realization becomes a compass, guiding us back to the present moment each time we are pulled away. In this sense, relinquish. The pain body is not simply a burden, but a doorway, relinquish. It points us toward what is beyond itself, toward the truth of who we really are, By creating suffering, it makes us seek freedom. By pulling us into unconsciousness, it teaches us the value of awareness. By distorting our perception, relinquish. It sharpens our longing for clarity. And by breaking us open, it invites us into deeper compassion and understanding, relinquish. What at first seems like a curse reveals itself as a disguised blessing, relinquish, a force that paradoxically guides us toward awakening.